For us, header bidding has really been a great way to unify our inventory. It solved a lot of problems that we had, despite all the concern about latency. We have been able to find it a way to avoid the waterfall, to knock down some walls that existed before between sort of standard direct inventory and between remnant inventory, and really allow various programmatic buckets to compete where they should be, with other premium hand-sold advertising. So it's done very well for our company.
How do you guys operate programmatically?
It really depends on what the buyer wants. That's a big part of what works for us about programmatic and the header bidding, is that we allow individual buyers to the way they want to buy. In some cases that might be private marketplaces. In others it might be something as simple as a conversation, asking where their preferred DSP is, if you're a buyer, helping them find us, allowing them the opportunity to test, to see how their audience works on our sites, which site works the best, which placements, which ad units, whatever it might be. It's an open conversation with us and the buyers then.
And you guys do a lot of work with campaigns, and that's obviously heating up now. Tell us how that works, and particularly the use of data, first-party data coming from the campaigns. I assume that helps drive. Or tell us about driving or targeting advertising for political campaigns.
Sure. And that's one of the beauties of programmatic. Obviously, it's easier, an easier way to overlay their data against our data, and to do it in a very seamless way. Another really important part of political advertising is the timeliness. If we went back to sort of the hand-sold RFP, IO, the buyers in the political world don't have that benefit of waiting for a response and going through approval processes. They need to get it out, they need to test it, they need to know their message is going to be relevant when it starts delivering. So it's been really beneficial for the political campaigns.
You guys have a long-standing relationship with the Drudge Report, which is kind of this huge powerhouse, but it's limited inventory.
Yes.
And I think that's, I assume, by design. And
yes.
What's the opportunities there in terms of selling inventory, for a site that's hugely popular, that has limited inventory? How does programmatic fit into that scenario?
We really allow that to be, we allow buyers to access that, and again, in the way that they want to. And we open up most channels for programmatic. So people that, do want to participate in that inventory, they can. As you said, there's a limited amount of inventory, but for, political messages, it is really important, the people that it reaches. The audience has proven time and time again, it's people that come back, it's people that vote, it's people that, can really influence a campaign. The targeting and the pricing can range very heavily. It is very important in political campaigns. Every different data package costs money. Layering and targeting can increase the price. But with the usage of header bidding, it is easier to make sure that the programmatic gets equal priority to other types of direct maybe campaigns. But if you do need to target a very small pool of people, maybe certain congressional districts, and layer on targeting on top of that, it does make sense to start paying more, because you're trying to reach a smaller audience, and you need to make sure that that bit's going to win when you find that person.
And what are the kinds of advertisers that want to be in the news environment, or a politically charged news environment? Is it different from general advertising on a general news site? Do you find that there's particular interest, or is it?
No, and in a lot of ways, it's really just people want to find the audience. Drudge Report happens to be a great vehicle for that, just like a lot of our other owned and operated properties, but it's not necessarily about, the fact that it's, might have political in nature, because there's a lot of links that, people don't realize on the Drudge Report that get equal attention from the audience, which is sports and entertainment. Movies are huge, so we actually almost have to draw people sort of that direction and say, there's an audience that is extremely engaged in all sorts of aspects. So while politics is big, we almost like to focus on the other ones. I think for us, we really want to just keep doing more of what we're doing. We're really proud at our company that we have integrated our teams internally, ad ops, sales, dev, we all work really close together, and that's how we're able to stay agile. I think for other companies, That can be a weakness if they're not already aligned that way, and I think we are. So I think for us it's more just honing what we're doing, making sure it's the right partners, the right buyers, the right vendors, the right technology, and we can just keep making sure that we're using the right tools for a great user experience. That's really important.
And what about the ecosystem more broadly? There's talk about illicit traffic and fraud and other issues.
Right.
I'm sure the buy side asks you about that. How do you assure kind of a clean, well-lit environment?
That is why the partners we work with, it's extremely important that we have a great relationship with them. It's more than just a two-way street. It's buyers, sellers, visitors. Everybody needs to work together to make sure that it's a great experience. Things are happening the way they should be, and it really does come down to people. As important as technology is, things happen. It's, who are you working with, how are they dealing with it, and how proactive we can all be.
Cool. And any advice to other publishers who are looking at header bidder and sort of the pros and cons?
Yeah, the one thing I would say over and over again is test. What works for one partner, one publisher, one site doesn't necessarily work for, even within a company. What works for one site might not work for another version of a site. So I would say, start with a good baseline, know what you're expecting, test to learn quick, and make decisions accordingly.